Ever wondered how our cities, filled with towering skyscrapers and sprawling suburbs, came into being? This is Cultural Contours. Join us through the history of city planning. The story begins thousands of years ago in the cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia. Picture a time when cities were a novelty, an experiment in living. Mesopotamian cities like Ur and Babylon were meticulously planned around agriculture, with canals and irrigation systems dictating the layout. The city was a fortress, its walls providing defense against marauding enemies. Now, let's travel to the banks of the Nile, to the time of the pharaohs. Ancient Egyptians took urban planning to a whole new level. They designed their cities with precision, aligning streets, buildings and temples with celestial bodies. They believed this would bring them closer to their gods. For them, city planning was a deeply spiritual endeavor. Next, we journey to the Indus Valley, home to one of the world's earliest urban cultures. Here, cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro were laid out on a grid, with streets intersecting at right angles. Houses were uniform, with each one having its own courtyard and drainage system. The Indus Valley civilization showed us that city planning could be systematic and egalitarian. Now let's sail across the Aegean to ancient Greece. The Greeks took the grid system and refined it, creating what we now call the Hippodamian plan. This plan, named after the architect Hippodamus of Miletus, was characterized by straight streets intersecting at right angles, dividing the city into neat squares. Lastly, we marched to Rome, where city planning was elevated to a form of strategic art. Roman cities were designed with military precision, featuring a forum at the center, surrounded by key public buildings. Roads radiated out from the forum, leading to city gates and beyond, to the farthest corners of the vast Roman Empire. So the seeds of urban planning were sown thousands of years ago, setting the stage for the evolution of cities. This is just the dawn of urban planning, a testament to our ancestors' ingenuity and foresight. And as we'll see, this was just the beginning. It's a fascinating journey, so stay tuned for the next chapter. As we move into the Middle Ages and Renaissance, city planning takes on a whole new dimension. During the Middle Ages, cities grew in a rather organic manner, seemingly sprouting up around castles and churches, the towering structures of power and faith. There was no blueprint or master plan, but instead a fascinating mishmash of winding streets and alleyways. These medieval cities were shaped by various factors. Trade was one of the key influences. Cities burgeoned around bustling markets with trade routes dictating their expansion. Then there was the matter of defense. City layouts were often designed to be deliberately confusing to repel invaders, resulting in the characteristic labyrinthine streets of many medieval cities. Religion too played a significant role. Churches and cathedrals were the epicenters around which cities bloomed, their spires reaching towards the heavens, just as the city's inhabitants yearned for spiritual elevation. As we segue into the Renaissance, we witness a return to planned cities. The Age of Enlightenment brought with it a renewed interest in symmetry and geometric patterns, inspired by the rediscovery of the ancient Roman and Greek texts. The chaotic cityscape of the Middle Ages was gradually replaced by orderly grids and wide boulevards. Architects like Filippo Brunelleschi and Leon Battista Alberti were instrumental in this transformation. Brunelleschi, best known for his work on the Florence Cathedral, brought mathematical precision to architecture, while Alberti wrote the first architectural treatise of the Renaissance, setting out principles for the design of cities that are still influential today. This period was a veritable canvas of creativity, with architects and planners experimenting with city layouts, playing with the balance between function and aesthetics. It was a time when grand piazzas and monumental buildings began to dominate cityscapes, reflecting the growing power of the city-states. The city planning during these periods was a mix of organic growth and geometric precision, reflecting the changing times. The Middle Ages and Renaissance, two contrasting eras, each left an indelible imprint on the tapestry of urban planning, paving the way for the cityscapes we see today. The Industrial Revolution came along and turned everything on its head, didn't it? Indeed, the Industrial Revolution, kicking off in the late 18th century, brought a seismic shift to our cities. As industries boomed and factories mushroomed, Cities became magnets, attracting rural folk in droves. They sought employment opportunities, but the cities weren't prepared for this sudden influx. The result? Rapid urbanization and a surge in population that led to overcrowded conditions and squalid living quarters. However, it was this very chaos that sparked the need for order, and thus the concept of zoning laws was born. These laws designated specific areas for particular uses like residential, commercial, or industrial. It was an attempt to bring some semblance of order and improve living conditions. But that's not all. The chaos of the Industrial Revolution also led to the birth of a new profession: urban planning. For the first time, city planning moved beyond the realms of architecture and entered the realm of science. Urban planners began to study and understand how cities functioned, how people lived, and how spaces could be designed for better living. During this period, we also witnessed the emergence of the Garden City movement, led by Sir Ebenezer Howard. His idea? To create self-contained communities surrounded by green belts. These garden cities, as they were called, combined the best of town and country living, providing residents with the conveniences of the city and the health benefits of the countryside. As we moved into the 20th century, modernism began to take root. Architects like Le Corbusier proposed radical new ideas for city planning. His radiant city concept, for instance, envisioned a city of towering skyscrapers surrounded by large open green spaces. It was all about functionality, efficiency, and the celebration of the machine age. The Industrial Revolution and modernism brought about significant changes in city planning, paving the way for the cities we know today. As we move into the late 20th and 21st century, city planning evolves yet again. Our journey now takes us to a juncture where the austere, machine-like ethos of modernism began to give way to something more human, more organic: Post-Modernism. This was a shift towards architecture and urban design that was more in tune with human scale, prioritizing the lived experience of the individual over the grandeur of the collective. This is the era of mixed-use development, a concept that marries different functionalities within the same space. Picture a bustling city block, a ground-floor cafe bustling with patrons, offices teeming with activity on the floors above, and tranquil residential spaces nestled at the top. This design philosophy brings work, play, and rest into a single, interconnected urban ecosystem, fostering vibrant, walkable communities. As we stepped into the new millennia, city planning faced an even greater challenge: climate change. The once distant threat had become an imminent reality, and urban planners needed to respond. And they did, with the rise of sustainable and resilient city planning. Think green roofs absorbing rainwater, urban forests combating heat islands, and coastal barriers shielding cities from rising sea levels. The goal is clear: to create cities that not only survive but thrive amidst environmental challenges. The 21st century also ushered in the concept of smart cities. This is where technology intertwines with urban planning, creating a seamless, efficient urban fabric. Imagine sensors collecting data on traffic patterns to optimize signal timings, or smart grids reducing energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. It's a brave new world where city planning is as much about code and algorithms as it is about bricks and mortar. Today, city planning is a dynamic field, continually evolving to meet the needs of people and the planet. As we hurtle into the future, city planning remains a testament to human ingenuity and adaptability, always striving to create better, more livable urban spaces. It's a thrilling journey, and it's far from over. So, what's next for city planning? As we peer into the crystal ball of urban development, several exciting trends come into focus. Imagine cities that don't just spread across the landscape but reach for the sky. These are vertical cities where skyscrapers house not just offices, but entire communities with homes, markets, parks, and more. The aim? To make the most of limited space while reducing the environmental impact of urban sprawl. Then, picture cities that float on water. Yes, you heard that right, floating cities. As sea levels rise due to climate change, architects and planners are exploring the possibility of buoyant urban landscapes. These maritime metropolises could provide a sustainable and adaptive solution for coastal regions around the world. But why stop at Earth? The prospect of lunar cities is no longer confined to the pages of science fiction. With space exploration advancing at a rapid pace, the moon might just become the next frontier for urban planning. Of course, these future cities won't just be shaped by spatial considerations, but by technology and data as well. Smart city technologies are expected to permeate every aspect of urban life, from traffic management to waste disposal, energy use to public safety. Imagine a city that anticipates your needs, optimizes resources, and reacts in real time to changes in the environment. Yet amid all these innovations, one principle remains paramount: sustainability. Future city planning must prioritize the efficient use of resources, the minimization of waste, and the preservation of the natural environment. Inclusivity, too, is a vital component of future city planning. Our cities of tomorrow need to be built for everyone, regardless of age, ability, or socioeconomic status. They should not just be places where people live and work, but spaces where communities thrive. Thank you for watching Cultural Contours. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this. As we look to the future, one thing is clear: city planning will continue to evolve, shaping the way we live, work, and interact with our environments.